we run a company called Design and Data, and it is specifically, we're working specifically in that intersection between design and data. So we could talk a bit about our backgrounds, I suppose. Yeah, I'm the design part of the puzzle.
Yeah, and then Nick, you
And
do the
Nick
data
has the
side.
data background. Yeah. And we worked together a long time ago, actually, like more than 10 years ago now, wasn't it? In the infrastructure sector, working on the design of databases. It was a lot of asset management stuff at that time. So we've got a history of working together and understanding each other's worlds, and we just have seen this great opportunity to do more, blend these practices more. So we think there's two parts to that. There's the data-driven design, and also there's the design of data-intensive applications. And we are living in an increasingly interconnected world. Data is everywhere, very, very topical at the moment, given this big push around the buzz around ChatGPT, the push towards AI and machine learning. Data is a big thing, and it requires some different approaches when it comes to designing data-intensive applications. Yeah. So that's kind of our background, and we came together to form this consultancy, and we're working now across the public sector, so doing some government work, but also other areas of the public sector. So like Nick, you work in a different part of the public sector, don't you?
I work with still some transport infrastructure clients, helping them structure their data and manage their infrastructure assets in the most efficient way.
Where in your mind is the industry at when it comes to using data in the design process? And I guess, what do you feel needs to, or kind of should be, like a change within that?
There have been these two big pushes, I think, that we've alluded to before, just generally in the world. This big design thinking, service design, user-centered design push, and then the data-driven push that we've talked about. And so I think until now, those things have been like progressing at speed, but perhaps not as integrated as they could be. So, lots of organizations will have a data capability and team and a design capability and team, but the extent to which they're working really in sync, sharing tools, techniques, working together to solve problems, I think is the next kind of step along that journey. And I think there's great potential there to drive innovation, like make better decisions, deliver better services, efficiencies, loads of great stuff. But there are some barriers and some challenges to doing that. I think some of them are actually around, and this is maybe particularly of interest to you in your world of recruitment and talent, is about skills, cultures, what those roles look like, ways of working.
Do you think if that all does come into play, people are going to start looking for different backgrounds within their designers? Will they come from like a traditional design background, or will you see more kind of like data focused qualifications and then moving into the design world?
Actually, already, I think one of the brilliant things is we're coming from quite different backgrounds as it is. I come from quite a technical background, being an engineer, and so I've got quite a lot of I'm comfortable with numbers and analytics. I feel like maybe I'm in the minority, so I could see there be potential for more people from those kind of technical, scientific backgrounds coming into the design space. And academia as well. Anybody who's done research in an academic setting or a PhD is very, very comfortable with data and doing all sorts of data analysis. So I think great scope for that as well. People moving perhaps from academia into industry and bringing some of those skills.
And I guess you mentioned like data intensive applications then, and this is the world that we're living in, and this is what we're designing. So where are businesses falling short somewhere in kind of not approaching them in the right way? And I guess, is there advice that I guess you would give in how we kind of approach designing these?
So I've worked for many years with many clients who often have a vision of a brand new shiny system that solves all of their problems, and they spend a long time sort of whiteboarding, designing, thinking about everything they could possibly need.
Yeah.
And quite often within that process, they omit the quite important element of looking at how their existing data supports those new sort of objectives that they're building into these systems. And so they may believe that their data can do more than it can actually do in the way that it's structured. And quite often, potentially, they go down a path of designing a system, expecting to be able to port their data into the new system and be able to, realise the benefits of all of the new wonderful analysis that they're dreaming up immediately. When quite often, actually, the case is the data that they have it doesn't hold up to those sort of those requirements. And so what I think is a really key benefit of having that sort of that data analytics capability within the design process is to be able to sort of map those data that available data to these objectives and understand how far from being able to reach those objectives you are with your current data. And perhaps by understanding that, you can then potentially adjust the expectations as to and potentially the roadmap for that system, and design elements of it first that could, or focus on the elements that are currently supported by the existing data. So I think that's a really important element that is sometimes overlooked within this design process.
See, surely there must be so many companies out there, particularly within government, that must have these huge data sets which they're kind of not really utilising properly or using at all because they're lacking that kind of data analytics capability, or even both teams kind of merging on the design and data side. Is that kind of a fair assumption on kind of what you've seen?
Kind of, it's a big problem. Yeah, basically, there's a lot of scope to do more with the data that's there, to get it better structured, to make it linkable, cross-government sharing, loads and loads of potential. And I think it links back to some of the points you were talking. You need to start with the structure, kind of start with the basics and take an agile, incremental approach to actually this big data problem.
Like that data, given the kind of the industry domain, is probably some pretty crucial information that could be used for good. And even if you look at the wider angle, I think you discussed at the beginning, Leanne, about chat GPT and kind of robotics and AI that's coming in, and it's kind of negative assumptions because no one's actually working with the data properly. It can actually have kind of real impact on wider society and what people are seeing and believing.
Yeah, it all depends on the quality of the data. And I read an interesting article by a very a world-leading AI machine learning expert, and he was saying actually you can train a machine with just a small sample of 50 data points that are good quality data points. So actually, even though AI and all this stuff might feel quite a long way down the line for many of these organizations in the public sector, some of the best things that we can be doing to be ready for that innovation is getting the house in order, the housekeeping, getting the data quality, structure, those fundamentals there. They're sort of like the building blocks.
Yeah.
And then I think from a design perspective, you can very much see, in physical design, if you're talking about the design of products or buildings, anything in the physical space, you have this concept of materiality, what the materials you're dealing with, and an understanding of that as a material and how to work with it. And I very much see data as a key sort of material for design that designers need to get really, really confident with and fluent in working with it.
Really interested to know, and where do you kind of see GDS within this? So with it as a government process, where's its place within using data, if at all?
I think GDS have been a massive driver of a more better use of data already. So big push on open data, data for KPIs and analytics, designing with data, user research data. They've really been a key massive force for change and force for good in that area. And I think when you look at the GDS strategy for the next few years, it is data centric, and developing the GDX, government data exchange, so moving into that space. So I think it's doing more work like that, and maybe that will lead to new standards. There's the service standard, which is maybe kind of came from a place thinking about transactional services and taking stuff online. What do these kind of data-centric services, platforms, ecosystems, what does it mean to be designing those? It might need to lead to new kind of DDAT roles and capabilities.
Yeah.
And then I think there's another thing around GDS is one player in this, but so in the project I'm working on, and realised that there are three kind of key technical worlds that need to collide on this kind of thing. You've got the digital teams and doing the GDS stuff. You've got the traditional IT teams as well, and actually a lot of this is internal tech and tooling, and that's their thing, and there's a need to collaborate there. And also data engineering and data scientists, and the kind of background that you have, there are kind of a whole different set of people and ways of working around that as well. Yeah. So I think it's almost like this Venn diagram, and there's a space in the middle, and that's always exciting. I think whenever you get these intersections, there's really a good opportunity to push boundaries and innovate.
Yeah. And that's what I was about to say. That's where innovation comes from, right? Is kind of identifying that and maximizing on it. Yeah. Well, it's been amazing to get both your insight and have a conversation on it. And I'm really kind of excited to see how it plays out. And I guess if anyone's kind of watching this and wants to kind of reach out and have a conversation with you guys about what you're doing at Design and Data, are you happy for them to kind of ping you a message over LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Design and Data. All one word, .co is our website, and we do delivery stuff, but also strategy and capability building and things like that. I'm more than happy. I'd love to link up with anybody who cares about this stuff and is working in this space too.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. It was great to get your insight and speak to you both.